Nothing quite like looking at my library of videos. What the heck? Got copyright claimed? Yokai is why. Or maybe you just chose the wrong music. The year is 2015, and we get to Nintendo's 2015 E3. I misspelled that. Here, let me try again. Okay, in all seriousness, what was really wrong with that E3? I just thought it was alright. Besides, they announced Yokai Watch was coming to America. So what is Yokai Watch? Well, it's a Pokemon ripoff. Well, I didn't know at the time, so I decided to look more into the game, and I decided to pick it up whenever it came out. I've mentioned Yokai Watch several times before on this channel, so might as well show you guys. So just to give you the basic idea of what yokai is all about, yokai themselves are actually mythical Japanese creatures, and let me tell you, they're kind of terrifying. So they're perfect for a kid's game. Okie doke, let's get the game booted up after a day 1 update. No, I'm serious, there was a day 1 update. Oh, thank goodness. I was scared for a second. I thought that this story about a 5th grader befriending literal Japanese hellspawn was true. So once upon a time in this fictional town of Springdale, a boy named Nate and his friends start up a bug catching contest. After doing not yokai things for about 10 minutes, Nate stumbles his way up to Mount Wildwood, where he comes across a candy machine.
Feed me.
Whoa! Oh, I forgot to mention who the candy was.
My name is Whisper. I am a yokai. Pleased to meet you. Charmed.
Oh cool, Nate just became friends with a ghost. So Whisper here is a yokai that's been sealed away in a candy machine for about a long time. And now that Nate has freed him, he's officially your yokai butler. And while he's at it, he mentions that yokai cause all of your problems. Well, how pleasant. He even gives Nate the yokai watch so that he can see yokai. And we get to use it immediately because there's a yokai known as Boo-Hoo around. So he decides to attack us for some reason, but fortunately, one of the bugs we caught earlier was a yokai, so we can use him. Oakley dokley, it's time to cure the world of depression. So after that super happy fun time, we become friends with the embodiment of depression. And even though Whisper is following us around, Nate doesn't really seem to care about yokai. Wow, he's kinda acting like how I do whenever someone brings up Skyrim. However, his parents have gotten into a fight. Let's blame a yokai. And what do you know, there's one up to no good. No, that's not a muck. So, shockingly, our 2 prized yokai are not strong enough to be able to take down Dismeralda. So we're left with only one choice. We have to go out and recruit some more yokai. And with that, there's no better time to start talking about the gameplay. On the overworld, you can inspect certain spots to look for a yokai. Whenever you find one, you get into a battle with them. First, the battle system's a little weird. The yokai fight on their own, and all you can do is just position them with your watch. Yokai have several actions. They can either use 2 different types of attacks, they can guard. If they have a positive Inspirament, then they can buff one of their allies. If they have a negative Inspirament, then they can provide a status affliction on the enemy. Or you know, they could just do nothing. However, don't worry, you still make an impact on the battle, because you can still provide them with items to heal them. You can heal them from certain Inspiraments. You can help them use a Soultimate attack once their soul meter is filled. And while you're on the overworld, you can use items to change what sort of actions that they'll do mid-battle. I personally think that this is a really good battle system. If one of your yokai is low on HP, you can just move them to the back and get some new ones out front. And you're given no mini-games to play to cure them from Inspiraments or use a Soultimate move. Now, while the battles are in real time, they technically still do have turns. Say if you're using a Soultimate, then if that yokai's turn comes around, then it'll be skipped because they're still charging up for their Soultimate attack. Stuff like that keeps you active during the battle, which makes it more fun overall. So after doing some battles, having some yokai join us, we eventually stumble upon Jibanyan, who's the series mascot. Jibanyan is here fighting trucks. Why trucks? I guess he has some sort of vendetta against them. Jibanyan used to be a real cat, but one day he got hit by a truck, and his owner called him lame. So first we became friends with the embodiment of depression, and next thing you know we're becoming friends with Roadkill. After retrieving a photo of his owner, who for some reason Jibanyan still admires, Jibanyan becomes a nice little kitty and joins us. And he's OP as frick. His attacks are strong, his ultimate attacks all the enemies, it's basically a better version of Kaiden's ultimate, and he has a skill that gives him a stat boost whenever he kills an enemy. Just what we needed to take down that muck, I mean Dismeralda. However, it turns out that Dismeralda was just pretty unhappy of her relationship, and she was unhappy. So, make others feel your pain. But fortunately, Dismeralda's relationship gets patched up, and we end up becoming friends with her as well. And that's kind of how this game plays out on a narrative standpoint. You're thrown into a scenario, you have a problem to solve, you maybe meet a yokai here or there, and then maybe fight a boss. And it feels like you're sitting through a TV show. For example, afterwards, there are some seals around town that are keeping yokai restricted. Some evil yokai are trying to break the seals so that they can unleash this thing! Or at one point, you requested to chase after a yokai known as Kyubi at the top of this construction building, and you meet a yokai known as Komasan there, who's kind of scared. However, as you proceed, Komasan becomes more and more confident, and then you end up fighting a boss known as Massive Face, one of my favorite bosses in the game. It's probably one of my favorite scenarios in the game overall, and besides, I love Komasan so much. Except whenever he speaks, I take high offense to that. Boss yokai are really big, and most of the time they have multiple targets. For Slimermander, you need to attack one of its 3 heads to try and find its weak point, that being its eyeball. Massive Face, who I mentioned earlier, is incredibly powerful. However, if you attack his eyeballs enough, he won't be able to see you, meaning all of his attacks will miss. And my favorite normal boss in the game, Dr. Matty Man, only has 1 target. However, over time, hearts will start appearing all over the room, and if there are too many, he'll be able to use an attack where he refills his HP. So you have to use your target pin to take out all of the hearts. Yeah, sure, you couldn't know that at first, but whenever you do learn it, it makes the boss fight a lot more fun. You know, I loved exploring all the areas and trying to find so many different yokai, but guess what? There are even more yokai that are hiding. You see, you can upgrade your watch later on in the game. This man named Mr. Goodsight, who works at Timers and More, can upgrade your yokai watch. I don't know how he can see yokai. So of course you get the parts to get the yokai watch upgraded. However, he still needs his undervoonies that he left at the spa. Kill me now, please. Then you end up going outside late at night, and then all of a sudden this new thing called Terror Time gets introduced, where this big yokai known as Gargoyles wants to chase you around and stuff. Oh my goodness gracious frixicles.
And it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night.
Well, after all that trauma, we still need to fight off Sproink, and this guy can go suck a cactus. Not only does he gift us with even more trauma, but his boss fight was kind of annoying too. When you do enough damage to him, he falls over, so you can either attack his stomach or his face. But you're obviously going to attack his stomach since it does more damage. Yet, little do you know that whenever you attack his stomach, his ultimate gets charged up. I, of course, didn't know that attacking his stomach was what was causing his ultimate to be charged. So I only had my 1 yokai left. But even then, after that, we get our watch upgraded, and now we can do some stuff with that. Right, I guess I need to explain this. So of course with our newly upgraded watch, we can find more yokai in the previous areas. You know, D-rank. Stronger yokai. I'm ignoring the elephant in the room here. You wanna hear what else upgrading your watch does? Well, you see doors like this with a little letter on them? You see, to get past those doors, you need to have a certain rank of the watch. This causes several issues. First off, this means that you're required to get the highest rank of the watch to get to the end of the game. On top of that, these doors are a huge killjoy. Whenever I see one, my immediate thought is, oh boy, I get to do a not so fun side quest to progress on through the story. I guess while we're at it, let's talk about the other issues as well. After you defeat Sproink and get your watch upgraded, you can now fuse yokai together and fuse yokai with other items. Too bad fusing is a very underused mechanic, because 1, there aren't a lot of yokai you can fuse together, and 2, some of the items that are required for fusion can't be retrieved until the post game. I mean, whatever, we've got ourselves a new rank of the watch. Let's go searching for some more yokai. How about this one? You know, in all honesty, I can't blame you for that one, but how about we go searching for a different yokai? You know, I kinda want this one. It's called Komaji. Wait a second, that's just a reskin of Koma-san. Kind of like how this character on the back of this Pop-Tarts box is a reskin of John Arbuckle from Garfield. I'm sorry, but reskins are lazy. Some may try to come up with the excuse that, oh, they have different attacks, or oh, they're just a higher rank of a previous yokai. No, I don't care. But you know what? None of this bothers me nearly as much as obtaining a yokai. You know how you're supposed to befriend all of these cool yokai and stuff? Well, guess what? You want to hear how you befriend them? You give them a piece of food during the battle, and you hope and pray that they join you. And if they don't join you, well, too bad, you just wasted yourself an item and you wasted your time. Go and find another one and try again. This has got to be the worst way to obtain anything in any game. On my second playthrough, whenever I had to get some yokai to fight Desmeralda, there was one specific yokai that I wanted, and it took me 20 minutes to get him. But the worst case of this was whenever I was trying to get a legendary yokai. You see, to get a legendary yokai, you have to take a look in your medallion, which is kind of a database for all the yokai, and look at this page. On this page, some yokai are listed. You have to obtain all of those yokai to get the legendary one. There was one I was missing, known as Castellius III. It took me an hour just to get him. I'm sorry about that outburst there, but this is a game I really like, and I hate to see this many flaws in it. Sounds like something a sequel could fix. Or should I say, should fix. Oh, whatever, let's just move on. So, a lot of questionable things are happening. So many violent yokai around. What could possibly be the root of this problem? Hope after a visit to a haunted hospital and a fight against Dr. Maddyman who wants to eat your heart out, baby. One of our yokai friends shows us his crystal ball, revealing that someone by the name of Squillis McCracken is ordering all the yokai around. And with all the stuff he's done, it's pretty easy to tell that he's a dictator. Emphasis on those first 3 letters. Surprisingly enough, the entrance to the yokai world was actually where you first meet Whisper. Now it's time to confront McCracken himself. His fight is fairly difficult, he's really strong, and his 2 hands count as targets. But at the very least, he proves that there are turns in this game. Yeah, but even after you defeat him, his influence has affected all the yokai, and now they're trying to break the seals again. After a repeated boss fight against Slimamander again. But it's really nice to see all the yokai come together to help us. However, McCracken's been revived. And yes, as you can tell by the music, and how underwhelming the ending to the first fight was, this is it. The last part in the game. McCracken turns into... Alright, this time it's pretty accurate. This finale overall is just incredible. It has a nice transition into the climax, the event with all the yokai joining up together, and finally, this last battle. This is one of my favorite final bosses ever. So you know what that means. Let's freaking do this! That's what I would be saying if he was easier. Don't get me wrong, he certainly is fair, but he is balls to the walls hard. Harder than it is to not compare Desmeralda to Muck. He has a ton of elemental attacks, can inspirit all of your yokai at once, and can get rid of all of your good status effects. You can get rid of his nostrils to prevent him from using any of his elemental attacks, and also I think that weakens his stomach. You need to attack his stomach so that he'll reveal his... Speaking of balls to the walls hard. Look, I let this game get away with a lot, but whenever the final boss's weak point is a literal testicle, no, that's where I draw the line. Plus, on top of all of that, the music and the atmosphere is just amazing. I love how the tree looks like it's drained of life at this point. And I also love how the music stays true to the game's overall theme. It's wacky and it's kind of creepy, but I will never forget this amazing part of the song. With McCracken defeated, Whisper puts a seal on the yokai world, meaning that no yokai can leave the yokai world ever again. Unfortunately, this means that all the yokai that you've befriended have had to go back. It's a really pleasant ending to a pleasant game, even though they leave the yokai world after the ending for some reason. But I really did enjoy my time with Yokai Watch. It had a lot of unpleasant stuff in it, so it is a very flawed game, but I can still respect this game and still like it as well. Level 5 did a really good job here. And you know what? They could do a better job with a sequel, right? Fix up some of the flaws, right? So let's see how well they accomplish that task with Yokai Watch 2 next time. See you all then. Bye-bye!